As leaders navigating the ever-evolving digital landscape, you understand the immense power of data to unlock new possibilities and to propel your organizations forward. Join me, Shankarganesh Vaidyanathan, Principal Architect at Tiger Analytics, along with data experts Mr. David Ross and Mr. Ajeeth Amarasekaran for our Data Expert Talks. Our first speaker, Mr. David Ross, is a global partner, development lead, data analytics AWS. He is a data management veteran, having spent over 20 years as an executive and consultant, helping organizations get the most from their data. David is a frequent speaker on data science and data modernization and holds 5 patents for analytical methods in banking.
Working in data science for the last 25 years has really reinforced the importance of having a modern data estate. And we'll go into what that means in just a bit. But we need to plan for not only keep the lights on type of activities, but also make sure we have time for the innovation, AI, ML, some of the newer Gen AI methods that are coming out. So working closely with Tiger for about the past year, and Tiger is an elite partner with AWS. This is one of our highest tier partners we work with quite a bit, and so I've worked with the folks here many times, and I'm excited to be here with them and also hear what you have to say.
Thank you, David, for sharing your background and expertise on the topic for today. And we have Mr. Ajeeth Amarasekaran, Senior Director at Tiger Analytics. He has been instrumental in driving some of the data modernization initiatives in Tiger by working closely with customers and our accelerator teams. Ajeeth, would you like to add something more?
I look forward to exchange and meaningful exchange of ideas, perspectives, and thoughts on the future of data modernization in AWS.
This discussion will delve into the ever-evolving data landscape and the need for modernization, key considerations and challenges on the data modernization journey, success stories and practical strategies from industry leaders, and actionable insights to accelerate our data-driven transformation. We all know the data revolution is here, and amidst our ongoing efforts to digitally transform our operations and better adapt to changing market dynamics, Ajeeth, could you provide insights into what exactly constitutes data modernization and how can it drive an organization's success?
So before I get into the data modernization drivers, let me go back a few years and share some history. In the last decade or so, we have seen many enterprises expanding their business operations across the globe, resulting in new business models. This was the beginning of digital transformation era. During this period, enormous amount of data was generated from multiple channels, devices, apps, and microservices. Digital transformation led to more diverse, distributed, and complex environment. Hence, the data management efficiency and agility became mission critical for the data and analytics leaders. This is when they started to look beyond the traditional data management platform and plan to move toward a more modern data platform on cloud. Now let me brief about some of the data modernization drivers that we keep hearing from our customers. During the data modernization workshops with the customers, we normally gather the modernization drivers from multiple stakeholders ranging from business, IT, and leadership teams. What we do is we then classify these drivers under 3 categories, namely operational, business, and IT challenges. Since I'll not be able to cover all the drivers here, what I'll do is I'll touch upon the most obvious drivers in each of these categories. To begin with the operational challenge, DNA leaders often felt that their assets, fragmented data storage, and the legacy data warehouse was unable to provide them the complete visibility of their operations. And this was affecting their overall operational efficiency. From the business standpoint, they always felt that they were not able to capture data from modern data sources such as real-time streams, APIs, unstructured and semi-structured data from NoSQL data sources. Due to this, they always felt that they did not have the complete set of data to analyze and get the actionable insights. From IT standpoints, the legacy data platform often failed to keep up with the processing and the storage requirements because of the continuous influx of huge amounts of data which was generated on a daily basis. This sort of manifested into scalability and performance challenges affecting the overall data management efficiency. To address these challenges, enterprises started to embrace cutting-edge data modernization strategy to safeguard the organization's competitiveness. So in a nutshell, diving deep into each of these modernization drivers gathered from multiple user personas should be your first step to define a successful data modernization strategy.
How can cloud technologies within budget and resource constraints enable us to effectively modernize our data stack, thereby improving data accessibility, unlocking value insights to drive business growth in DNA modernization strategy? And more importantly, what role does AWS play in the data modernization journey? David, your thoughts, please.
It's a fantastic question and a good follow-up for Ajeeth as well. He mentioned many of the business benefits and drivers. I just want to maybe overlay one or two more lenses. One is from Forbes. According to Forbes, making a 10% increase in data accessibility can drive a $65 million increase in net income. Similar numbers from IDC about the value of data modernization. Now, if we wanted to talk about what we see as the kind of four main drivers of modernization, obviously it's going to start first with this idea of breaking free from legacy databases. A lot of legacy databases are very, very expensive. I'm probably not preaching to the choir here. They have lock-in issues, punitive licensing terms, and some of the other issues that we deal with legacy database. So the desire to kind of break from that mental model into more of a cloud-first narrative is super important. Secondly, I'd say the move to kind of serverless databases and analytics, and getting access to the best kind of tools and services from AWS, for example, SageMaker or different modeling tools, Glue for ETL, QuickSight. We're moving to that completely serverless world where you could get live on many of these services in really a fraction of the time it would have taken even just 5 years ago. The third thing I would hit on is the need for modernizing underlying applications with purpose-built databases. Now, what I mean for that is, if you're trying to do an analysis of who's linked to whom on Facebook, for example, you'd want to be, construct or use a graph database to do some of the types of data modeling that's going to come off that. You're not going to want to use a typical, star-based schema structure to try to manage that. So those need for more modern applications are kind of pushing us also to new ways to deliver. And fourth, I'd say where I spend the most time is around data and turning data into insights. So clearly organizations are looking to extract more value from their data, and we've kind of established that. But that value creation now extends well beyond just IT, right? Now we're talking about how data modernization can support entry into new business lines, new business models. There are data monetization opportunities. The world of kind of those insights, AI, ML, Gen AI, and Gen BI, clearly driving a lot of need for change. Luckily, at AWS, it's what we do, right? We've been in that business for decades, so we love helping customers.
A unified data experience is a must. But we also know data is fragmented all over our systems. So Ajeeth, with fragmented data across multiple departments, what are some of the key considerations Tiger Analytics is making to define a successful data modernization strategy?
Great question, Shankar. So before I get into the mechanisms to solve data silo problem, let me spend some time to understand how was it getting created in the first place. Some organizations have the culture of separation where each business unit had the freedom to operate in their own ways in a sort of self-governed manner by isolating from other departments, right, without much collaboration. This made them to use bespoke database technologies to store data in their proprietary formats in separate locations known as data silos. Data silos occur naturally over a period of time, mirroring the org structure. This may look harmless when the organization is small. However, as the organization grows and expands further, they result in more data silos and sort of creates multiple versions of truth. This prevents the leadership team to access enterprise-wide KPIs or metrics to see how the organization is performing and to get the bigger picture. Right? Therefore, the DNA leaders started to look for ways to solve the problem by freeing up the data trapped in the silos and liberate them into a more of centralized data platform or a single source of truth. Now, let me focus on some of the considerations that we make to conquer the data silo problem. The first and foremost is the cultural change. If the culture can create data silos, it can also break, in my opinion. So the organizations must break the walls between the departments, sort of merge the departments that share the common business goals, and embrace the culture of collaboration and data sharing. The next point is around integrating all these fragmented data sources. So take some time to consolidate all the data silos into a cloud-based data warehouse like AWS Redshift that has the native capabilities to share the data between the departments. The last and important point is to enforce data governance policies to promote data standardization and have more visibility on how the data is acquired, stored, and accessed. So in summary, data silo is one of the biggest challenges that can hold you back from achieving the modernization goals. So to break the data silos, it requires a strong commitment from the management and the people in the organization, since it's more of a cultural challenge than a technical.
So David, from your perspective, how can AWS help in addressing some of the technical challenges?
Great, thank you for the question. And obviously, it can be a very long answer given the complexities around cloud. But I'm going to focus on really 5 things that I see that as we think about the technical side of cloud and data management, and things that we as AWS are also investing in. Number 1 would be scalable data lakes. You've already shared, and Ajeeth shared, the issues of data silos and inability to bring the data together, multiple formats, and how do we decouple storage from compute. Building those scalable data lakes as the underlying foundation is super important, obviously. And like we always say at Amazon, that security is job 0. So it all starts with security. And so we like to pride ourselves on the best, in the most secure cloud environment that there is. Related to that, we talked about purpose-built databases earlier. That's just one example of our strategy to really build for specific use cases and business cases, right? Nobody buys a data warehouse, right? They buy what can come out of the data warehouse and what they can do with it. And so we continue to invest in very purpose-built applications. I'll give you an example. We've added Amazon Q into our QuickSight program. QuickSight is our business intelligence platform. By adding Glue, which is natural language processing, you can do things like, hey, over the last 5 years, who's in the top 10% of spending and who has also moved away that I need to reach? And ask the question that way. You can imagine what it would be like doing all of that manually, SQL, in other ways. So we're making big investments in that ease of use to continue to roll things out to the complete user base. Number 4 is it could be kind of a subject all to itself, and that's data access, governance, and security. We, and you'll hear about it in a bit, made a lot of announcements at re:Invent, which is the big AWS user conference late last year. A lot of those announcements were around data access and data governance. Not only tri-party data, but first-party data, any type of data that you could think about. We obviously build security and governance into everything we do. If you're interested in learning more, you can look up things like Data Zone on the AWS website, give you a great example of what we're doing with respect to data security and data management. And finally, probably not surprising, we're building machine learning into everything. I gave you the example of Q in QuickSight. That's an example of where we're taking Q, the kernel, if you will, trained on our models, Titan models, etc., and building now that capability not just into things like QuickSight, but also into Glue for ETL. Right, you can think about the zero ETL world and a world with kind of empowered machine learning on top of it. It's pretty exciting and something that we are expecting to grow a lot.
While AWS can provide all the necessary infrastructure and platforms to any organization wanting to embark on the data modernization journey, but beyond infrastructure and platform access, how can Tiger's partnership uniquely support organizations in navigating the complexities of data modernization, from strategy to design to implementation and ongoing optimization? Ajeeth, your thoughts here.
Sure, Shankar. So embarking into a data modernization journey is a big undertaking in itself, right? And it cannot be done all alone. Hence, it is recommended to collaborate with cloud and SI partners. The partner ecosystem will provide you the expertise and the knowledge to define the cloud operating model, modernization strategy, tool selection, roadmap, and the modernization approach. As an SI partner, Tiger Analytics plays a vital role in the modernization journey of our customers. With a dedicated practice, we offer innovative approach to modernize the legacy data platform using our automated data modernization services. Now let me focus on some of the key Tiger data modernization service offerings that cuts across 4 phases, naming strategy, migration, governance, and modernize, right? And each of these phases, we leverage technology-led automation to expedite the modernization journey. So now let me start with the strategy phase. So this is where our modernization consultants will work closely with business and IT to deep dive into the modernization drivers, get deeper understanding of the business use cases, pain points, and some of the competing priorities, right? This will help us to define the future state architecture, which will align to the business drivers, along with the roadmap and the key milestones. Some of the accelerators that we use in this phase are Discovery Questionnaire, which is sort of curated questions to gather the requirements from multiple stakeholders, right? We also leverage inventory assessment toolkits. What this does is it is a set of scripts that you normally run in your legacy servers to get the overall inventory of database objects, ETL scripts, and your BI reports, right? To some extent, we leverage data profilers to get deeper meaning or deeper insights on data. We also use data lineage extractors to understand the end-to-end data flow and their interdependencies with the business process. Finally, we feed all these inventory into our estimation template to gauge the overall complexity of modernization. Now let me get into the next phase, which is migrate. So this is the phase where we actually start migrating the legacy code, data, and reports to cloud, right? And this is where we leverage automation to the maximum potential, right? So Gartner is predicting that by 2027, Gen AI will accelerate the migration efforts by 70%. So based on that, we have started creating some of the accelerators, Gen AI-based accelerators, like code converters that can convert the legacy SQL to PySpark, and it can give up to 40% effort savings. We also have tools that will convert the legacy ETL to a modern ELT pattern, right, in DB. Once the data is migrated, it is important to do the data integrity checks between the source and target, right? So this is where the Tiger data validation framework comes pretty much handy. I would also like to highlight that all these accelerators that I've mentioned, right, they complement the native AWS capabilities like data migration service or DMS and the schema converter tool, which is the S8. On the third phase, which is govern and manage, we define the data governance strategy on the cloud to improve the overall data efficiency. We can leverage tools like Amazon Data Zone or Tiger Data Hub, or use third-party products to build the data governance capabilities. From an operational excellence standpoint, we can track the data quality metrics using Tiger Data Observability Framework. And to monitor the cost, we can leverage Tiger FinOps toolkits along with the AWS Cost Intelligence Dashboard. The last phase is modern and innovate, right? Modernize and innovate. So this is where the real modernization journey begins, right? I have read few Gartner articles that says that data fabric architecture is very key or essential to the modernization journey to sort of improve the productivity, right? Hence, during the modernization phase, customers can think of leveraging Tiger Data Fabric to accelerate the data integration and your data ingestion efforts, which works on top of AWS Glue, right? And it sort of gives you, it reduces the implementation efforts by up to 30%. To drive the innovative use cases, our domain consultants and the data scientists will work closely with the business to unlock the real value of data using Tiger AI and ML products, right? Our AML frameworks and platforms offers customer-centric capabilities to improve the overall customer experience. So in short, Tiger's expertise in data modernization, clubbed along with our cutting-edge modernization accelerators, is going to bring immense value to the table, making us a trusted modernization partner for our customers.
Thank you, Ajeeth. If I were to summarize, it seems to me like a 5-step process. Craft a tailored roadmap with clear objectives and milestones. Use automated ETL data modernization tools and the Tiger Data Fabric for seamless data management. Continuously monitor progress and cost efficiency using our Tiger FinOps toolkit and AWS Cost Intelligence dashboards. Monitor data governance using Tiger Data Hub. Drive informed decisions and unlock new revenue streams through data-powered innovations. So let's assume, David, in our journey towards modernizing our data infrastructure, we are considering leveraging AWS services and programs. Could you elaborate on how AWS supports customers in the data modernization journey, particularly in terms of facilitating data migration programs like MAP and database freedom?
Sure, I'd love to cover those. So Ajeeth gave lots of great examples of different services and functionality that customers are getting as they migrate to the cloud. Within obviously at AWS, we offer a variety of financial and other areas of assistance. We kind of group them into something we call modernization programs. So these are high-touch programs that provide access to experts, solution architects, migration best practices, a lot of things, frankly, probably that you and I have built together between Tiger and AWS. And it's the kind of those underlying assets and accelerators that are really going to make a huge difference going forward. And let me call out a couple of them. One is something that we call a modernization program credit. Right, so this would be, for example, if you have a specific workload, machine learning workload, let's see, and you're interested in doing some kind of proof of concept, some testing, some kind of launch and learn, right? There is a program credit that we can help with to offset any projected kind of new fees over the next 12 months, right? So that's one example. Another one that a lot of our customers are currently using is MAP funding. And Shankar, you mentioned MAP, Migration Acceleration Program. This is where we're taking all the workloads or major workloads from a non-AWS environment into an AWS environment. So it could be a full lift and shift. There's a couple varieties of business model there, but the important part is there's pretty large financial incentives to migrate your complete your data estate to AWS. MAP alone is at 15%, for example, credit on 12 months of fees. And, these are relatively, higher cost or can be higher cost activities. So we're working super diligently to really control kind of the cost so we can continue to have the most services of any cloud provider and be the most secure. Another area that's super interesting in funding is partner funding. So this is where AWS and Tiger, for example, team up with a customer to do like a data assessment, like similar to what you just described, right? So through partner funding, it allows us to cover the cost, portions of the cost for a partner that you're coming in to do the migration, And finally, there's a last piece that's still new, but a lot of folks are really excited about that. And that's something called a Database Freedom Program. So this is just recently launched. And the goal is to help customers migrate to AWS database and analytic services by providing the technical advice, migration support, and financial assistance, all within a purpose-built, package, right? And hence the name Database Freedom. We're going to go all in and moving the database. Here's all the accelerators. Here's the financial incentives. Here's access to different people to make this go very, very smoothly and quickly, and to put us on that path that Gartner or IDC or Forbes or McKinsey and others, to get all that value that's sitting there waiting to be captured. And so, these are just a few of the ways financially that we work with both partners and customers to help them along the journey.
Thank you, David. This is very promising. AWS is not only helping organizations modernize by providing many accelerators, funding some POCs, but also slashing costs with up to 25% funding and 10% service credits on qualifying AWS services. I think we should act today. Explore AWS modernization programs and discover how they can propel us into the future, leaving the limitations of the past behind. Thank you, David, for the valuable insight. With AWS coming up with programs like MAP and customers seeking to leverage the expertise of Tiger, Ajeeth, could you outline some of the best practices Tiger has learned when assisting clients with data modernization initiatives?
Sure, Shankar. So first of all, let me tell that data modernization shouldn't be seen as just a technology upgrade, right? It must be a strategic initiative that aligns to business goals and provides the right outcome. Therefore, the modernization strategy must follow certain best practices to meet those business goals. Now, let me share some of the best practices that needs to be considered during the modernization journey from our experience that we got from multiple modernization engagements that we have executed. First and foremost is to understand the business outcome of the modernization, right? And ensure that these outcomes are measurable as KPIs or metrics. For example, data quality metrics in an acceptable range, reduction in customer churn rate, improvement in people productivity, reduction in your data downtime, faster time to market. These are some of the key metrics that indicate that the modernization is meeting the business outcome. From the next approach standpoint, you always take a modernization approach that is sort of iterative and impactful to business, right? So we normally recommend consumption-based approach that sort of groups the inventory together based on a particular business use case or a business process, right? And modernize them iteratively rather than going with a big bang approach. And this option is also considered to be less risky, and it will give business early visibility on the modernization journey. From the tool and modern service adoption, do not force the business to adopt the new set of services. Rather, the modern data platform must sort of fit into the current business process and requirements. From a reusability standpoint, don't throw away the legacy business logic used in the calculations and the computations. Rather, analyze and reverse engineer them to understand the assets business logic and try to reuse them as much as possible to meet the existing functionality. From an optimization standpoint, always plan for optimization efforts, right, to meet the assets performance benchmarks or even better in cloud. Okay. Last but not the least is the change management. So this is where you start democratizing the data access, right? So it is important that you train the business users to ensure that they can understand, access, and use the data based on the new ways of working. One tip I would like to give here is we can always provide users access to a sandbox environment of the modern data stack, right? During the transition period. This will make their life easy, and it will be easy for them to adapt into the new data platform, right? So in summary, I was able to highlight some of the key considerations of best practices here, but there are many such best practices that we can adopt for a successful data model.
So far, we have discussed about modernization, best practices, migration programs from AWS, and how Tiger can help customers navigate the data modernization journey. We witnessed path-breaking announcements during reInvent 2023, like Zero ETL Future, serverless data analytics, Amazon Q integration with QuickSight and Glue. David, from your perspective, how does the future of data modernization look like in AWS, and how these announcements add value to the data modernization roadmap?
At AWS, we believe that the future holds really unlimited potential around data modernization. We've heard a lot of the drivers today in terms of serverless architecture and data lakes and better access to data. And so, Shankar, you mentioned a lot of the announcements that we did make last year at reInvent. Had a pretty common theme, and that theme was Gen AI, Gen BI. However you want to state it, it is artificial intelligence in everything. You mentioned Q for business. I think that's a great example how the nexus or the focus on data modernization is changing from pure cost control optimization to we are building or we have built great data management capabilities. Now let's help us get the most out of that, right? And how do we help people get the most out of that very, very quickly without tons of training? And not everybody needs a PhD to run a model, but how do we get that out there? And Q for business is probably what I'm most excited about, because it's going to be in a lot of those products that we've already talked about. So there'll be Glue or a Q for Glue. These are weird, hard to say. But then there's Q in QuickSight, Q in SageMaker for model building. So you're going to see that permutation, and I think that's going to really take people to the next level. Now, let's get that foundation, overlay the newer stuff that we announced last year. By the way, there'd be plenty more, not surprisingly, announced this year. But as always, security is the main focus, and the work that we're doing in natural language processing is truly kind of groundbreaking. Super excited to see it get rolled into our services for our customers.
Data modernization isn't just an IT project. It's a strategic imperative. It's an investment in your future, in your people, and in your ability to thrive in the data-driven era. Remember, data is your most valuable asset. Foster a data-driven culture